Hi guys, and welcome to Reality with Tea. This morning I'm drinking green tea kombucha tea, and the tea bag tag says there's nothing more precious than the self. And that's a key word we need to keep in mind while I do this marriage boot camp review. Okay, let's get started. So I do have notes because I reviewed 1 through 5. I didn't realize that I saw 6. So last week's was a mix between 6, and so this will be 6 and 7, I believe, because I still have some notes of some things I left out from that one. But I'm gonna try to keep it to go through as quickly as I can. All right, so let's start out. So this episode, the doctors had them doing truth or I think they played truth or dare, and then they also played with the puppets. So they had a few activities going, and it brought up a lot for some of these folks. But we begin the episode with Judge Lynn Toller talking to Tahiri about the situation that happened with her and Vado the previous week, or the previous day in their term, right? So she talked to her, she asked her, she said, in that moment, what were you feeling? And it was interesting because Tahiri said, I felt nothing, which was really, that made me think, like, wow, she is really just numb, just completely numb to that type of aggression and violence and domestic violence. And that's really telling, because that tells me that she's been through a lot in her past, to the point where she has kind of just like dissociated herself and numbed herself out from it. And that's really sad, because to me, that makes it as if there's a certain level, it's like a baseline that's acceptable to her. It's almost like just that thing that happened to her was almost nothing. Now, I'm still confused about why, and she also said, when talking to her, or either to the producers, it was just an apple that I threw. He did all that because of an apple. She still has not faced any type of, there's been no consequence, or they haven't even talked to her about her actions. And I think that there should be some consequences to her actions as well. Because even when Dr. Ish talked to Vado, he says, that's the issue with her, is she gets very handsy, she gets aggressive, she hits, and I thought I can change her. So she is already exhibiting violence and aggression, and she never gets to face consequences for it, maybe because she's the woman. So I still think that she should have been talked to and had received a consequence for her behavior as well. Throwing an apple in his face precipitated the whole thing. And I understand she's saying, I just threw an apple, so maybe she feels like her action was so much less than his, which was overboard. And it was, because you threw an apple, okay, that hurts. He choking her could have killed her. But she still, what she did could have escalated. So she still needs to face consequences for her actions, so both of them can understand that no violence is okay in a relationship. So we'll get back to Vado in a minute. But it's interesting that she says, so the doctor also notices, she says, it seems like there's an acceptable level of violence, in your life. And to me, and that's really sad. That makes me really sad for her, because she's just used to it. And she also said, she ends up forgiving everybody else but herself in a situation. She always feels like it's her fault. Maybe she does start a lot of these situations. Doesn't mean that she deserves to be beat on or everything. But the judge tells her, you need to start forgiving yourself for it, because you don't deserve it. You deserve to be in a relationship where you're loved and not beat on. So then we flip over to Dr. Ish talking to Vado, and he says, the issue is that she always gets too rowdy and the whole thing. And then he says, I thought I can change her. Okay, I think we're old enough. I mean, I know he's very immature, but I mean, at some point you have to realize, you can't change anybody. They are who they are. You meet them where they are, and hopefully you guys can grow together, but you can't change anybody. They have to change themselves. They have to work on themselves. And has she done the work? I don't know. Has she been somewhere, to a therapist, somebody to help her try to figure out, why is my first reaction always violence when I get upset about in these relationships? I don't know. Well, that's time will tell, I guess, right? But he says that he often feels disrespected by her, which makes him feel weak, like a weak man, and it makes him angry. So we have seen a lot on this season. They have disrespected each other. She has, emasculated him, they say, so many times. My question is, why is his masculinity so fragile? Why does it make you feel, something that she's saying make you feel so weak that you get so angry that you resort to violence? Why is everything built on this masculinity? Is this toxic masculinity? Obviously it's toxic, because he resorted to violence. So he also says something that I underline: people only respect violence. Now, this is a bigger thing, because I feel like, even growing up, and even me as a parent, Um, Growing up, I feel like a lot of families, especially Black families, we use, we spank, we say, oh, we whooping, spanking, I know you got to beat in this whole thing. It's a baseline of violence that we pretty much all, not all, but okay, a majority of the folks in our culture have accepted. Okay, I've never been beat on, whipped, or anything like that. I've been popped, yes, I have, right? But I feel like we're kind of taught from the beginning, especially with kids, and we also want to teach our kids that violence, we feel that violence is, or it's almost like you have to be violent or aggressive to your kid for them to respect you. And we were kind of never taught other ways to gain respect from our kids because, and this has been passed down for generations. And I feel like this is something I grappled with when having my own kids. And I said, I'm never going to beat with my kids. Like, I just don't feel like kids do anything that's bad enough for you to, like, why would you beat them as if they're a slave? And I make, comparisons to slavery because that's what white people did to us. And that's where we learned the behavior and we kept passing on generational curse to our kids. There are other ways to make your kids respect you. It's so easy to punish a kid. You know what I mean? But I've popped my kid before and you see that there's a response, but that's something that's like what I've been taught, that's in me. You know what I mean? That the only way you get somebody to respect you is violence. So that's why we are so quick to fight when we feel disrespected. That's the reason we're so quick. And this is even as kids, you know what I mean? Oh, somebody says something. Oh, you called my mother a bitch. Meet me outside in the back. You know what I mean? We're going to fight. It always resorts to violence. So this is something that we're going to have to work on as a, pretty much as within our culture, So Vado also says, and I'm guessing he's talking about seeing Tahiri on reality shows, that when he's seen her in the past, that she's treated her man as a king, and she has yet to treat him that way. So he's also comparing himself to everybody else. I'm trying to figure out how they got together, why they're still together. Like, I see you treat other men this way, and for me, you don't treat me that way. And it's just weird that you would even be in a relationship. I don't know that I could be in a relationship where I'm watching you actively in a relationship with somebody else and I see you treating them better and I'm constantly comparing myself. So that also is a blow to his ego because what is wrong with me? What do I have to do? Do I have to boss up on you for you to treat me this way? Okay, so the question is, does she respect him? And I honestly don't think she does. I'm trying to figure out if she even likes him because it seems like when they talk to her throughout this episode, it's kind of like, I could be by myself. I kind of miss him. I really don't care. I don't see her yearning for him. I don't see her in any type of emotional battle for him. She got emotional after the whole incident. But I mean, I've never seen her really seem that she's into him that much. So I don't know. We'll see. The only thing I say about Tahiri, go back to her, is that she says she's okay with being alone, so maybe they'll break up before the end of the season. We don't know, but sometimes her responses seem rehearsed. Let me know in the comments if you feel that way, because I feel like maybe she's been on reality TV so much, she's watched so much Ayanna Van Zant that she knows what she's supposed to say, but then it's like she's not acting it. She spent a lot of time during this episode telling everybody else, oh, I've been there, and I felt this way, and I know where you've been, and you should do this, and you should do that, but she doesn't do it in her own relationships. So it's, it's kind of like, what do they say? Get off the pot shit or get off the pot, you know what I mean? Either do it, say what you, behave the way you're preaching to everybody else to behave. You know what I mean? Because I don't see her do all these things she's talking about, all these realizations she's come to, all of these different, clairvoyant moments she's had in her life. I haven't seen her actually put that into practice. So we'll see. All right, let me move on because they're going to be quick. Hazel and Devon. So Hazel, we begin the episode with Hazel. They said she's been bleeding all night. I believe she went to the hospital a day or two prior, and they weren't sure if she was having a miscarriage or if she was pregnant or not. But they found out when they went to the hospital that she did, in fact, miscarry. So she comes back, and they pretty much like sleep. They're just dealing with it. Her and her boyfriend, Devon, sleeping through the day. And just kind of like processing those emotions. And I love Shonda. I think Shonda's like becoming one of my favorites. And she actually just went in at one point when she saw they came back, and she just said, I just want to come check on you, make sure you're okay. All right. And then she left. She ran out and left. I'm like, oh, she's really sweet. I'm saving Toni and Kurupt for last because they have so much going on. Let's go to Willie and Shonda since we're here. While they were playing Truth or Dare, Shonda went into the booth and she had to grab one of the tickets and she got a dare. And she and Willie love dares. They love to play Truth or Dare. And apparently, whatever dare she gets, she's going to do, right? So she got a dare to dance in the fountain within her underwear. And she's laughing and she's like, I would so do this. I just don't have on underwear. It's kind of funny. And Willie's like, you know, you can see the hesitation. He's like, you're going to go do this? But they said, okay, just go in there and dance in your clothes you have on. And she's covered. You know, she has on the spandex shorts, a jean jacket, what have you. Actually thought she was going to take off a jacket because it was nice, but whatever. But Willie is like, first he's like, you're not going to do that. And she's like, why not? And so she goes in the fountain and she dances. And that's when I found out, I didn't know she was an exotic dancer in the past. And she's like, I'm used to doing this. This is nothing. And Willie, like, come on. She has on her clothes, but she goes in there, she has fun, she does a little sexy thing, and nobody's even thinking about her, like, whatever. But she has a good time, and he ends up, you know, saying, you know, I knew she was going to do it anyway, because that's her thing. She loves dares. But he was fine. He told her, you know, I'm not going to be anybody to tell you not to do whatever you want to do. So you do what you want to do, you know. And then I believe in the end, when Judge Toller came in, she praised him for that, saying, you know, this is your body, you do what you want with it, you know. So, I think that was pretty much it for them. Oh, they did talk about, was it during Truth or something, or maybe it was during the puppet thing. At some point it came up that they had a threesome before, and they had a threesome together. Now, my personal opinion, that's not for me, because, and I hate that I don't mean to compare adults to kids, but it's just that I know kids. So what we think of kids is, you know, sometimes parents say, oh, I smoke weed with my kid because I'd rather them do it at home than in the streets. And then what I remember Dr. Phil always saying is that, like, with kids, they don't know the difference. You start smoking weed with them, to them, it is that it means that this is okay. And I feel the same thing for men. When you start opening up your relationship to threesomes, you're saying in that moment, at least, it's okay for you to be with another woman. So then the line gets blurred. So it's like, well, she was okay with me being with that woman. Why not this woman? Or she's okay with this, you know, or like, if I do it and I tell her later, like, the lines get very blurry. So now she's talking about, oh, you're cheating, but you opened up your relationship. Okay. Medina and Phaedra. So she gets in the booth and she pulls a card that asks, how many times have you had, the most times you had sex in a day? And she says 4 times a day. Okay, Phaedra. So now everybody's like, oh, snap. You was putting on that she was this whole, you know, like the virginal person. And we know you're not virginal, but like, you know, that you don't want to give it up and this and that. But you had sex 4 times in a day. So now Medina's looking like, well, damn, who are these people that you had sex 4 times a day with and you won't do it with me? So that's got hurt because she ain't letting him anywhere near her. And, you know, he just found out on national TV that she gets down. So he's feeling like, okay, somehow I have to make this happen, like, very soon tonight because she tried to play me. So I missed the part, but I guess he pulled a ticket. He had to, like, suck her toes. So he, like, puts, you know, some kind of whipped cream on her toes. He's sucking her toes, and everybody's like, woo, it's heating up. And then at some point, Phaedra goes into the confessional, and she's like, okay, he's starting to heat up. I kind of just needed him to step up a little bit. Now I see he's a man's man, so it might be happening tonight, right? So we're going to see, right? But she says that she's a little turned on. So she gets praised in the end by Judge Lynn Toller for finally participating in the activity, because before she was acting all like, oh, I'm above that, I don't want to be a part of that. So maybe she's turning the corner and actually, you know, getting more into him than she was when she first came. So now we see them in the end. You know, he does this whole thing where he covers up the camera. She's like, why are you doing that? He's like, I don't want them to see. He's supposedly trying to turn on the heat, but then Toni comes in pissed off at Kurupt and starts venting to them, and so it's like, okay, that's it for the mood. It's killed. She done cop blocked. It's over. So we will move on now to, wait, who were the last ones? I did everybody? Hazel, Shonda, Medina. All right, let's get into Toni and Kurupt. So, okay. I don't know if I'm going to order, whatever. The doctor has finally come to his senses and actually started to act like a professional and gathered everybody together in the room and says, listen, I can't get any work done with him, Kurupt. if he is drunk the entire time. He obviously has an alcohol problem. This has been his issue the entire time he's been there. And mind you, it's 3 days left in the entire boot camp situation. So 3 days before the end of boot camp, he says, I'm going to remove the alcohol from the house. Is everybody okay with that? Everybody's like, yeah, that's great. Because he finally says what I said in the last review, you can't get anything done with him. He can't do any work if he is drunk the entire time. He needs to be coming to this with a clear mind, a clear head, so he can actually think about his relationship. Right now, his head is all foggy and messed up. This man literally just went to the hospital for alcohol poisoning. That's the bigger issue. He should have not even set foot in boot camp when y'all realize how drunk and how much of an alcoholic and how dependent he is on alcohol. He should have been sent straight to rehab. You can come back on the next season. You go to rehab for your 90 days, 6 months, however you need to be there after you detox, and then we could possibly talk about you and Toni. Because he's so, unclear. He's just so clouded with the alcohol that he can't do any real work. So, Judge Toller comes in and, she talks about Toni constantly talking about this. She keeps calling whoever he was cheating with, that homeless bitch. And the judge is like, she's not homeless. She's living in your head. She owns you because that's all you're thinking about. It's not even about her. It's about him and your relationship with him. And you worried about some chick you've never even seen before. That's who's taking up all the space in your head. You got bigger issues dealing with this man. Okay, so don't worry about her. Let's start with him and you, right? So she says that it's about the lies, and he says, she says the thing is that he's lying. So they're doing the little puppet thing, and the thing they're supposed to be simulating, he has his puppet, she has her puppet, and then you guys show me how you are in the bedroom. So Toni's over here on this side of the bed by herself, and I guess signifying that she is lonely. Kurupt is over here, and he's just being kind of funny with it. But the doctor's like, I want you to see that she's lonely. And the Kurupt, he takes no responsibility for anything. He's like, that's on her. She's sitting on the side of the bed, whatever, And I really don't think he cares that much about her, honestly. Even though in the last episode, he said, Shonda and Tahiri were talking to him, and he ended up opening up about his mother's death. He said he lost his best friend, and the only happy that I have is Toni. And in that moment, we saw him be, kind of let those walls down, that hot defensive wall. I don't care. And he said, that she's the only happy in my life. And he kind of broke down. It seems like he's never dealt with the death of his mother. So, he gets to the point where I guess he gets teary-eyed and he says, something's in my eye, let me leave, because, of course, that would seem too weak for him to actually show emotion. And so is he drinking just to drown those emotions that he has never dealt with? I mean, I'm sure that this has been over some years. I don't know when mom died, but has his mother's death exacerbated the issue? Is he just drowning them and not dealing with them? That's what I believe. He says that's the reason, he thinks that that's the reason for most of his problems. And I just want to make this caveat that bereavement counseling is available to people if you have lost anybody in your life and it has affected you. Why not? Why are we so against getting a counselor? I've had bereavement counseling. After the death of my grandfather, which was about 6 months ago. And you could do it in group, individually, and it helps. Just to have somebody ask you, tell me what happened. Because most people, most of your friends, family members, whoever, they're not there to listen to you. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the details of what happened. And, why not talk to somebody who's there to just listen to you, to get that off your chest and to process those emotions. But that's a caveat. Let me get back to Kurupt. So he's also dealing with what they say, the toxic masculinity. He can't express himself. And the thing about it was he did express himself somewhat. He walked away. He wanted to process his emotions alone. But then Toni was like, okay, so what? I lost my whole family. It doesn't excuse his behavior. I agree with her. But also it doesn't help that she's comparing her hurt to his hurt. And I deal with it this way, so you need to deal with it this way. That's some of the issues. Those are some of the reasons why people don't open up. So let me get back to them. So either way, let me see. He, at one point, so they're doing the puppet thing, and then it ends up, I forgot how, I forgot the exact wording, but it got to the point where she said to him, she gets very upset. I think he started laughing about something, and she said that gets under her skin, that he's laughing and not taking it seriously. And when I'm telling you, this woman changed into somebody else. I mean, she had daggers. She had daggers shooting from her eyes, and they were burning into his neck. I mean, she was heated. She was done. Okay. She was like, she looked like she wanted to kill him. Like he said at one point, I might fall asleep. She might cut my balls off. I mean, she said Dr. Ish pulled her away. He said, what got you so upset? And she just couldn't even get herself together. That bitch ass, punk ass, I'll fuck him up. Da, da, da. I mean, she just went off. I don't know where Toni is from, but I know she was not playing with that man in that moment. She wants to kill him. She want to get her cousins together, she said, on the block and fuck him up. She want to cut him, do whatever she got to do to get rid of this man. Because in that moment when he laughed, it got under her skin. That was her trigger. So she so they're separated now, and I believe Toni and Tahiri and Shonda took him outside, and they try to confront him about it, right? And he's kind of going off, she's in there drinking like I'm drinking. All right, let's not compare the two. I cannot stand when alcoholics or people who are addicted to anything, they always, you're doing it too. Okay, but there's a difference between me drinking socially, drinking once a weekend, whatever it is, and you drinking from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 at night, passing out and having alcohol poisoning. And I don't have a problem. You have a problem. Let's keep it on you, okay? So that was the number one. Then he basically said, it seems like he said, listen, we have an agreement. We're not going to be together. So maybe there was a conversation had off camera where they're kind of like, we're done with this. Let's just finish our boot camp and keep it moving, get this check, keep it moving. But he was like, me and her have an agreement. We're not going to be together. It's over for us. So I would like to know more about that, because she still seems to be in it, even though he seems like he left this relationship in certain ways a while ago, right? But Toni walks up on them like a ghost from behind and kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? And she's staring at him with the daggers, because she wants to kill him. She's done with him, right? So that's when he starts going off. He's like, this kid right here, this kid is unsafe. She's talking, she's saying this and that. He's calling her a kid. I don't know if it's because she's way younger than him. I don't know, but it was just weird that he's calling her a kid. I might go to sleep. She might cut my balls off. So now he's going off saying that he's unsafe. Get me out of this house. You producers are standing here. You guys allow this stuff to happen. You see it's going to escalate. She's going to get away with the crap that she does because she's a woman. And then if I turn around and hurt her, I'm going to be the one in jail. Diffuse the situation. You do see the people walk up, the security guards walk up, whatever. And he just starts yelling. Diffuse the situation. Da, da, da. He goes on this whole rant, this whole thing for about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, until about 2 or 3 in the morning, where he's like, get me a private jet. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out. I mean, he's just going off for like hours straight. And this is also a result of him not having the brown liquor. I guess it seems like they took all the liquor out the house, but everybody keeps talking about brown liquor because maybe that's what he favors. But he was probably having withdrawals. He probably needed to drink. He probably couldn't deal with this stressful situation without drinking. And so he's trying to leave so he can go drink. And Toni did say that. Like, he's saying all this stuff so that he can go drink. And that was pretty obvious, but he just had a complete meltdown, right? So, Tahiri's talking to Toni, and she says, and here we go, I too have been in a relationship with somebody with an addiction, and you expect them to have the same heart as you. He does not have the same heart as you. I mean, she says things that make sense, but it's always that person is like, I too have been there, whatever. Okay, so the meanwhile, he's yelling, Kurupt is yelling, she is getting worse, she's irate, she's unsafe, this is a dangerous situation, and you guys are not taking, you're not taking this seriously, and this whole thing, and he just can't deal with the pressure. And like I said, Phaedra and Medina think they're about to get it popping, or Medina does, and Toni comes in and she keeps going off, and then Phaedra's like, listen, they argue every day. So to me, I'm just like, why is Toni dealing with this? Why hasn't she left? But it's almost like she seems like she's the kind of person that needs to be, even though it seems like he told her, because at some point Toni, Kurupt told Tahiri, you women don't like to hear the truth. I'm telling her, I've told her several times I don't want to be with her. I told her this isn't working and she's not listening. And it comes to the point where Tahiri gets upset and she needs to walk away because he's saying things in a way that she doesn't like to be told. But I mean, is it the truth? I don't know how many more times he needs to show her that he does not want to be with her, that he doesn't respect her. She obviously doesn't respect herself because she doesn't demand any more respect from herself. And he shouldn't even at this point. And a lot of times us women, we want to hear it. We need closure. We want to hear why, we want to hear what happened, we want to hear who, this and that. That's not going to help her at this point. He is beating you down. I don't mean physically, but physically in her face. And you can tell she's just wearing all her hurt. But I mean, how much more can you give? And then even when you bring it up, this man is kind of like, I don't care, leave me. I don't care. I'm hoping that she gets the message soon, because right now she's probably inside, she's killing herself. She's going to have to take some time whenever she does leave him and really just work on building herself back up again, because all he is doing is taking. And then I'm just confused by all the people on the show, because you guys are with rappers. I just don't expect that much more from rappers. I feel like everybody has been through that struggle love that's been with a rapper, basketball player, the whole thing. I swear, from Snoop to LL, to everybody that's been with their wives, they'll say 25 years, but all of them have been like, yeah, in the past we dealt with infidelity, in the past we dealt with all the chicks, or we got through that. So it's like they've had to go through all that, but it's like, why do you feel like, I know there's money, I guess it's the money thing and the lifestyle, but why do you have to be disrespected over and over, time and time again, for years upon years, for them to turn 45, 50, and nobody really wants them anymore? Even though, he's still doing this thing, Kurupt is still cheating on her. But it's like, until they get older, and then they're better to settle down. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I saw the light and you were sitting in front of me the whole time. So now I can appreciate you. But you already done drugged me through the mud and done all type of crazy stuff to me. And I done sat up here raising your kids, breastfeeding your kids by myself, watching, seeing all the text messages, the calls, the women come in and out. And then now at 45, 50, when nobody wants us, now you appreciate us? Come on now. Come on. I'm over that. I'm over that whole thing. But I have my own thoughts on rappers. Let's see. He was also at one point asked, would you stop drinking to save your relationship? He's like, fuck no. I'm not going to stop drinking. You guys think y'all are crazy if you think that I will stop drinking for my relationship. And to me, Toni, if that's your biggest thing and he's telling you blatantly, I will not do that to save my relationship, because basically he just likes drinking. Some people, they smoking cigarettes and you're like, please stop smoking. They just say, no, I just like smoking and I'm never going to stop. I don't really have the urge to stop. He feels the same way about drinking. He hasn't gotten to the point yet where he maybe almost lost his life, he thinks, or whatever it is he needs to hit to make him want to stop. So he will not stop for his relationship. So Toni, why are you still there? Let me see. Anyone knows? No, that's about it. But Toni does say at one point that he is mentally and verbally abusive, which he is. And why you are able to recognize that and not do anything about it is the problem. Okay? He is also still cheating on you. You cannot fix him. Okay? You can't fix that. You have too many battles. He has too many battles within him, and you have too many battles that you are trying to fix within him that you're not able to do. You're in over your head. You do not have the expertise, nor is he willing to fight these battles with you or have you help him fight those battles. So my hope and prayer for you is that you see that and you get clarity and you leave and work on yourself and find your happy somewhere else. And that's my final word for Mary's Bootcamp. I'm into the season. I like it. They have a lot going on. So, I'll see you guys next week for the next review. Thank you. Please comment. Give me a response. Whatever it is that you think that you agree with, you don't agree with. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.